golden, the wind is low. In this peaceful evening, our love will glow. Oh, November twilight, serenade, take us away to a place of wonder where love will stay. With every note, our hearts will be as one in this cozy haven. Our love has just begun. We'll sit by the fireplace with the stars up high, watching the flames as the night drifts by. The world outside fades from our sight in this cozy haven. Our love has just begun. Oh, November twilight, serenade, take us away to a place of wonder where love will stay. With every note, our hearts will beat as one. In this cozy haven, our love has just begun. We'll sit by the fireplace with the stars up high, watching the flames as the night drifts by. The world outside fades from our sight. In this cozy haven, our love has just begun. In the stillness, we'll find our way to a love that's timeless in every way. With every note, our love will grow in this cozy haven. Our hearts will glow. Oh, November twilight, serenade, take us away to a place of wonder where love will stay. With every note, our hearts will beat as one. In this cozy haven, our love has just begun. November twilight, serenade, take us away to a place of wonder where love will stay. With every note, our love will grow. In this cozy haven, our hearts will glow. Okay, let's see. Hey, it's straight up at the top of the hour, 7 o'clock here in the Salt Lake Valley. We'll get started here in a minute. I have some coffee that's steeping. Should be ready by now to press and pour in the coffee cup. Otherwise, I just drink it straight out of the pot. You know what I mean? Like a cowboy. A cowboy loves grace. Oh, by the way, Gabe, hit the StreamYard link so we can enjoy each other's company. And Rachel and Kat and Mac the Human and anybody else. I would invite you, Poke Sock, but you don't come in. But you know, I like you. I don't care if you come in or not. And we'll hang out and talk about the amazing grace of God, the favor that He shows to us. And the only thing we have to do is perhaps look at it or look for it, because it'll be right under our nose. Oh, Lawrence, there you are. You can come in. Give me a sound check, by the way.
Undeserved favor, says Catherine. Lawrence says the sound is good. All right, I'll be right back. Welcome, broker of peace. We're going to talk about grace. It seems to piss off all of your friends who accuse us of being antinomians. Well, I just got the word that Christ died for antinomians, as well as everybody else. Nomians and antinomians. Christ just happened to die for us all. He's quite fond of every scoundrel and everyone who doesn't even need saving. He still went ahead and saved them. Broker Peace, I know you're one of those guys that don't need saving because you ain't sinned. You and JG and Eric and Jill, you just don't sin, so you don't need any saving. But just in case, Christ died for you too. Just in case you slip up, Christ already got that. He already got it. He already got it. Okay, baby. Welcome back to Human. There's the link. Be right back.
Whispers of love that never grow cold. Oh, in the whispers of October, I hear your voice in every breeze, a gentle reminder of love's sweet refrain, forever echoing through autumn's leaves. Crisp air whispers secrets of life and time. And in the autumn shadows, I hear the lonely rhyme. Summer's warm, it's just a memory. But in October's whispers, love remains with me. Oh, in the whispers of October, I hear your voice in every breeze, a gentle reminder of love's sweet refrain, forever echoing through autumn's leaves. Crisp air whispers secrets of life and time, and in the autumn shadows, I hear
Rachel Mack, the human and cat.
summer's warm.
And let's not forget P. At least P is not PP. PP standing for potential preterist. How dare you insult me? I am not potential preterist. I am professing preterist.
In October's light, where jasmine blooms, forever rain, and heartaches fade like the autumn rain. Oh, in the whispers of October, I hear your voice in every breeze, a gentle reminder of love's sweet refrain, forever echoing through autumn's leaves. Climb aboard, darling, let's take a ride under starry skies where love will
Our preterists, antinomians.
wagons calling.
Uh, preterists accuse us of being antinomian. Yeah. Preterists are nomian and more nomian and more nomian. At least the only preterists I've ever met. Um, and nomians, I guess, is the guys who say, "Look at me, look at me." That's a nomian. What's an antinomian? Don't look at me. I didn't do nothing. Look at God. He's the one who is to blame or credit for all of this stuff. With every step our love will shine. The subjector. That's who we're here to talk about. Let's see, what's this now? I think it means that the law is weak compared to grace. It means the law is weak compared to grace. Yeah, I guess so. I'll go with that. Ain't no man. Gabe, can you come in? I concur. I get the joke. That's really funny, Rachel. I concur. A reference to a doctor with a patient who doesn't know what the hell he's doing. So he asks the interns what they would do. And he says, I concur. Smack.
Hello, Ace.
Yeah, like, are you like related to Jack Smack?
Probably.
Because you're Jack Smack the human, right?
I'm Jack Smack the human, exactly.
How you like this music?
Let me plug in here.
Well, our love grew strong in that autumn day. We strolled through rows of golden delight,
Very nice.
hand in hand on that crisp autumn night. The pumpkins shone like stars up high in that patch of love. Our love touched the sky. Patch of love where we first met underneath the.
Sure is some lovely music out in history.
Yeah, I would put that in the 50s somewhere. Am I close?
It says on the title 50s, 40s, 30s.
Okay.
Warm and nostalgic fall jazz songs.
Beautiful. What
I have
times
to
we
play
live in.
that old stuff, so I don't get busted for copyright strikes. I got busted a couple of days ago for playing Weird Al.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, they took it down.
Huh.
It might be if I just go back and erase Weird Al, they'll make that thing live again. But that's where JG came in and was really trying to get under my skin and with his antinomian ways or his antinomian accusations. Yeah, that's it.
I can't remember. Are we pro-antinomian or anti-antinomian?
Yeah, it's hard to put this word into context, because it's such a 5-syllable word.
It's ridiculous.
Right. But so technically JG would be again them antinomians. Because he's very nomian, and you better pay attention to morals, ethics, and responsibility, don't you know?
All right.
Or there's hell to pay.
Eternal torment.
In all the years I've done this show on the live section, I've never talked about morals, ethics, and responsibility, unless JG and his Christian crew comes around and forces me to talk about it, and then I have to deny the love of morals, ethics, and responsibility and declare my love for God, which has nothing to do with morals, ethics, and responsibility. In fact, you know what pisses those guys off?
What?
Is to say, well, is God responsible or is God irresponsible? That really pisses them off.
Yeah, because they want you to talk about being responsible or irresponsible. Yourself. They want you to talk about yourself or humanity in general.
Yeah.
Not God. And when you ask that question about God, it's absurd. It's an absurd question.
How dare you? How dare you?
Sir, I believe my hackles have been raised.
How dare you? Think of the children.
Exactly. Well,
think of the children. Are you still at work?
No. I actually came down with the famous virus. So I've had the last 4 days off. I've been bedridden, basically.
I know that story. Hard. Remember, I had the same story.
Yep.
I was in bed. I'll tell you how bad it was, okay? I was in bed for 3-4 days, right? And on one night, I fell asleep for 15 minutes and woke up for 5 minutes and fell asleep for 15 minutes and woke up for 5 minutes. And I was miserable, right? I wanted to go to sleep. I was miserable, fucking miserable. And I was so cold at one point under the covers. I was so cold. I had to pull the covers up around my neck.
Yeah.
And I'm going, and I'm making all my muscles flex tight, to generate friction heat,
Mm-hmm.
and breathing under the covers to save all the warmth I can. I still couldn't get warm.
Same thing. I had the same stuff going on. Miserable.
So I'd sleep for 15 minutes, wake up for 5 minutes until about 3 a.m, and then I slept for 30 minutes. Victory! I had an accomplishment, a breakthrough.
Yeah.
And then I slept for 2 hours, and then 3 hours. Okay, so what saved you so far? I'll tell you what saved me: lemon water and ginger ale.
Okay. Well,
that's what I credit.
I've been eating a lot of garlic. I always eat a lot of garlic when I'm sick, and my taste buds are muted, so I can really handle a lot of strong flavors. But I don't
Well,
have
if
much of an
somebody
appetite.
tells you right about now, that they walk in the room, they say, something smells like garlic.
Yeah.
And say, bite me.
Yeah.
That's when it would become appropriate, an appropriate bite me joke.
Yes. Enjoy me. I'm garlicky. But I've been drinking a lot of tea. I have a lot of like herbal kind of medicinal teas
Oh,
around
during
that.
those 4 to 5 days, I couldn't drink coffee.
Oh,
I
right.
just wasn't in the mood for coffee.
Yeah.
So I drank Earl Grey tea with butter
Hmm.
and half and half.
Nice.
And wow, it was refreshing. I don't know what's in Earl Grey tea, chaperon or something, but it just seemed to do.
Bergamot.
Bergamot?
Bergamot, it's called. It's a citrus fruit. They
Really?
flavor it with bergamot. Yeah, I think it's an Asian citrus fruit, but
Hmm.
it's got a really unique flavor to it. And yeah, it's delicious. It probably has a little vitamin C in it. I don't know. That's speculation.
It's just what my body was kind of craving, or
Yeah.
my mind told me that my body was craving, or something like that. I said, "Screw this coffee, let's get some." Where? Let me look up here. Oh, somewhere up here. Oh yeah, there it is.
Nice.
Earl Grey. That's been sitting there for 12 years.
The hardest part has been letting go of my responsibilities and
Responsibilities?
yeah.
I know somebody you should talk to. He knows all about responsibilities.
Tell me.
He's over on the JG channel.
That's okay. I don't need anybody to remind me. New Year's Eve at the restaurant's kind of a big deal, so. But they're okay. I set them up okay. They're fine without me. They better be. I don't know what else they're gonna do.
Right. Wouldn't it be funny if when you get back, there's kind of a rebellion there? Yeah. I mean, it's not a rebellion like you'd think. It's just a rebellion based in laziness.
Yeah.
And so no matter what people ordered, what they got was oatmeal. It was easy to slop out, here's your oatmeal. I ordered steak and eggs. Well, that's what I have to do.
You got oatmeal. Yeah.
It's been an emergency. The boss is not here. Take your oatmeal and and the second one is free. The second oatmeal is free. If you can finish this one.
Yeah. It's all you can eat, really. Well, that'd be interesting. Yeah. I wish I had gotten time to do reading and stuff like that, but I've really just been resting. I'm
here to help you.
I know.
To get you to laugh and enjoy grace.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, do you have morning prayers?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
I don't. You know what?
And then I'll tell you about my morning prayers.
I think you're the only guy that I know that I would answer that question to directly. Everybody else, I'd be like, "What are you trying to get me to say?" Excuse me. But yeah, no, I definitely every morning I sort of fall out of bed praying. Like my first kind of waking moments are about God. That's what my mind is on, because I'm sort of surprised, especially when I'm sick, to wake up again and be like, hey, I got another day here going. And I'm excited about that, and I'm grateful for it. So I haven't become automatic yet at addressing God as my owner. I still kind of feel uncomfortable about that.
I've tried that.
Yeah, I'm trying it. I think it's good. I think it's a good thing to practice. But normally it's just like, thank you God for another day. Thank you God. And then I start seeing all of the grace and blessings around me, and all of not just that I'm awake, but that my family's here and healthy, and that I've got things to do in front of me, and I've got love around me. I mean, there's just a lot that I'm grateful for. So grateful for my problems, even. So, so I do that. I think that's the best way to describe my morning prayer. What do you do?
Well, I can't pray to God in my morning prayers. It's straight to the Father. I can't get the words God out of my mouth, so to speak.
Yeah.
When the dawn is cresting, I say, "Good morning, Father." There was a period of time when I'd say, "Good morning, Father. I love what you've done with the place. It's crazy, just like I like it."
Nice.
So that was my morning prayer for a long time. Good morning, Father. I love what you've done with the place. It's crazy, just like I like it. and to me, that was a prayer acknowledging that all is of God, right? And it was a prayer acknowledging that I too am addicted to frustration and crazy people. I'm addicted to crazy situations, and anyway, and so my prayer experience is not verbose. I don't say a lot.
Yeah.
But I say, "Good morning, Father." Let's see. Here lately, I don't say that prayer. I wake up and I say, "Good morning, Father. This is exciting. I'm pleased that you want to spend some time with me. Are you sure?
Yeah.
You got any wild thoughts for me?" Because it's about that hour, at the crack of dawn, that I have, I come up with these titles for the shows and the idea to go down this venue as opposed to that thought venue. And then sometimes I've noticed I'll say, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ."
Ooh.
Man, that's a nice one that fall off my lips. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. Now, you're right about that owner business. There was a time when I was saying, the disciples in
it's in Acts. Yeah.
Yeah, let me find it. Acts chapter 4. When Peter and James got out of jail and found their way back to the saints, and they all made a prayer, and they said, "O owner of all." So I tried that as my opening prayer. Good morning, O owner of all. Man, that's just delightful.
Yeah.
Good morning, O owner. I don't have nightly prayers. I go to bed, with Jill Hennessy. I saw those eyes.
I don't know. Is that the liquor, Hennessy? The cognac?
Jill Hennessy was she was the star of a TV show called Crossing Jordan.
Okay.
It's a cop show where a medical examiner's office tries to solve all the crimes by where the bullet goes in this way and comes out that way.
That's the best.
Yeah. In fact, I was thinking, there's so many cop shows where forensic medical examiner's offices solve crimes, that must mean they're real popular, and that must mean there's millions of people who watch those medical examiner's office shows. I was thinking I could probably make a lot of money by starting up a business selling a fragrance called the fragrance of the morgue.
Just formaldehyde.
It smells like a morgue around here.
It's latex gloves and formaldehyde.
Spray this under your ear and you can solve any crime.
You could do designer lab coats.
Yeah. As a product extension. And instead of us selling T-shirts, that we would sell lab coats with anybody's logo on them.
Perfect. Must be a convenient vehicle for storytelling, because that is seems to be a really common format.
One thing I figured out with this Crossing Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
It was an early one. In fact, you might say it's the earliest of the crime lab TV shows.
Okay.
The very first one was back in the 70s with Jack Klugman, and it was called Quincy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He solved crimes by finding the bullet over here and saying, well, it should have been here. But anyway, Crossing Jordan seems to be the first one. And I've noticed that all the other ones, Bones and
NCIS.
Yeah, and Castle and
Monk.
Grimm and Monk, yeah, they all seem to borrow plot lines from Crossing Jordan.
Oh, huh.
And they borrow actors from Crossing Jordan.
Oh, weird.
There's a like 5 or 10 actors that were in Crossing Jordan, guest stars that ended up in Bones as regular stars, including Bones herself.
Oh, wow.
She was a guest star in Crossing Jordan.
Huh.
And there was an episode in Crossing Jordan where they were trying to catch a killer they called the Digger because he would bury people alive. Well, guess what? They did the same plot line over on Bones. They had a guy who was burying everyone alive, including Mrs. Bones and some of her crew and so forth. Racing the clock to find them before they ran out of oxygen,
Oh, yeah.
In other words, there's not that many plot lines you can go through, right? So, of course.
That's right.
What do we got this time? Well, let's see. On Crossing Jordan 25 years ago, they had a story where somebody got sick on a plane. There we go. We can put Jordan Kavanaugh on a plane with another medical examiner, and they can solve the crime before they enter international waters. Yeah, there we go. And they did the same damn thing on Castle and Bones and
Yeah. The old Twilight show.
You know what this kind
Twilight
of
Zone.
is a bigger speech for or metaphor for?
Okay.
That there's no free will. If we had a free will, we could be more original.
Right.
But no.
There's only like 3 or 4 stories.
Yeah.
Really.
Boy meets girl.
Yeah.
Girl disappears into the traffic. Boy pines for her forever. Oh, she was the one. I know it. I only talked to her for 3 minutes.
Yeah. The hero's journey.
Oh, here's another one that's repeated. In Crossing Jordan, her mother was killed by some bad guys years earlier, and she's forever trying to solve that crime.
Oh, sure.
And that happens in Castle as well.
That's everywhere.
Someone killed Mrs. Detective Beckett's mother, and she's always trying to solve that crime.
Right. The Flash had the same thing going on.
Really?
Yeah. Somebody killed his mom, and they blamed his
God.
dad. His dad was in jail for it, but he knew it wasn't his dad. And one day he'd find the real killer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's boring.
Yeah, once you catch on that the repetition is because of our lack of creativity.
Yeah.
I remember years ago reading about this this creative guy. He was a writer, I guess. He wrote back to England. He was in New York, and he wrote back to England to his financier and said, some wild ass story about why he needed money. And let's say, I'll just make up the wild ass story,
Okay.
A cat scratched my hand. I've got cat scratch fever, and I've lost all my clothes, and I'm desperate. Wire me some money right away, or they're going to think I'm a crazy man. Anyway, so his financier wired him some money, and then about 9 months later, he wrote the same story to his financier, and his financier said, "You wrote this story to me 9 months ago. I'm sick of it. Come up with something new, and maybe I'll give you some."
So the big story, though,
Yes.
the zoomed out God story,
Mm-hmm.
people don't really tell that story,
They don't know it
right?
by design.
It's not one of the repeated stories. It's a true, like, mind-blowing revelation type of a thing to figure out, to understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 1 Corinthians 1:21 says it's by design that the world does not know God.
It's hidden
By
in
God's
God.
design.
Right. Right.
So what is the story? Since I think you and I would suspect we have a peep, you know.
I don't think I'm that good at telling it, but
I'll wing it with you.
I think it starts with God
Okay, I'm there.
and it ends with God.
Okay, I'm there. Now that's the offensive part to most of the Christians and to the regular worldly folks. It's
Yep.
offensive that it starts with God and ends with God. What about me?
Right. Right.
What about me? My feelings are real.
Which, that's what God gave us, the vanity, and it is a gift in a way. So I don't know if this is part of the story or sort of like if you were going to do like a textual analysis of the story where you're like looking at the mechanisms inside the story, because this isn't really thrilling, but I think it's true that it's this caught up in vanity and stubbornness that allows us to even appreciate the alternative, the reality without that, what that gets replaced with becomes important. And so, I mean, this is blasphemy, but is the God at the end of the story bigger somehow than the God at the beginning of the story?
Such a nice question.
Right. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that makes
My
any
daddy can
sense,
beat
actually.
up your daddy.
Right. Right.
Has daddy changed? No, but my perception of him has.
Right. There's a understanding that's different.
You know
My
that.
understanding, I guess.
Did you ever have that yelling match with another kid? Did you ever say my daddy can beat up your daddy?
I'm familiar with that argument, but no, never. No.
I never said that either, but
Yeah. My dad was actually kind of a badass. He was the president of the school board, and
really,
yeah, and an ex-Marine, and people didn't mess with him. Yeah, but they messed with me. I was nothing like that. I had no intimidation factor. But yeah. Big tough dad.
you don't spit in the wind and you don't mess with Big Mac.
Yeah, right. If you want to know about God's plan, it's got to do with the eons. It's got to do with him being the God of the eons, or the Aeonian God, the creator of the eons. Because those are sort of like chapters. But what unfolds in those chapters, some of it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So, like, I don't, it's definitely bigger than I am.
You know, let's pretend like we're just writers, you know. Oh, there's an interesting little twist on Castle, the TV show called Castle, and they solve crimes, right? But it's not a crime lab. It's the premise of Castle is he's a He's a writer of crime novels, and he begs the cops to let him tag along
Okay.
on the crime solving sprees, right?
And he ends up helping him.
Yeah.
Right.
And falling in love with Detective Beckett.
Oh, of course.
Of course, yeah. So, but there's a really interesting little thing they do on Castle. Since he's a crime writer, he writes novels. Part of the plot line, not a major part, but part of the plot line is he plays poker with a bunch of other writers, and sitting there at the table is the real Steve Cannell.
Oh, wow.
You know who Steve Cannell is?
He's a crime writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wrote a lot of the 1980s cop shows like A-Team, the A-Team.
Yeah.
And maybe even the Rockford Files, for all I know.
Maybe Quincy.
Yeah, maybe Quincy, but he's sitting
Some
right there at
episodes.
the table.
That's hilarious.
It is cute, yeah. But let's pretend that we have that mindset, that capability of sitting around at the poker table with other writers, and that's how we think. You know, we think in the terms of how is this crime novel going to be structured?
Right.
Okay, so let's not be Christians. Let's not be theologians looking at the Bible.
Okay.
And I want to say, if I'm putting on that type of brain, that the most interesting part of the Bible, I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Pauline student. I'm not Ace Theo saying, the cross is everything. Forget everything else. But I'm going to say, as a crime novelist writer, the most interesting part of the Bible is the night Jesus was killed.
Mm-hmm.
The day before and the night of. The conversations that went on were incredible, interesting. The conversation between Jesus and the high priest, and Jesus and Herod, and Jesus and Pilate, and Jesus and Judas. I mean, that stuff is fascinating. And Jesus and God.
Mm.
That stuff is really fascinating as a plot thickener that just won't stop.
That verse that Taylor just posted, was that from that time? Or who was Jesus talking to there?
This one? God?
Oh, that's in Timothy. Oh, Paul wrote that.
Uh-huh.
No, not that one. Where he says, I will draw.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one, though.
Yeah, that's in John.
Yeah, it was the last one you highlighted. I'm not following the chat. I just saw the one you...
Yeah, I have a tough time following it, too.
Yeah, John 12:32. That's not late enough in John for it to be close to the crucifixion.
Right. But just as a drama-packed storytelling event.
Yeah, with the
night he
betrayal.
was the betrayal day, or prior day, and the night that he was betrayed. I mean, we got Peter denying him 3 times. I mean, there's so many little vignettes going on at the same time. Not even Quentin Tarantino could come up with this kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
This is really good stuff. And for Jesus on the cross to say, my God, why have you forsaken me? That's drama. If he's the Son of God and God forsakes him, I mean, he already had a thief on one side of him saying, if you're really the Son of God, turn these stones into bread,
Right.
Put some money in my pocket, or whatever the hell he said,
Wow.
Pull yourself off the cross and take us with you and start a rebellion. Yeah, we'll teach those Romans a lesson if you're really the Son of God.
If you were just writing a non-theological story and your character just said that, cried that out at some point in the story, that would be a humongous moment in the story.
What? My God, why have you forsaken me?
Yeah.
I mean, think of Walter White saying it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
we would all be shocked as to how to interpret that moment in time.
Yeah.
If
it would be clearly important.
Or listen, what if Jesse Pinkman cried that out?
Yeah.
In the midst of some of his most painful moments. And he had some painful moments.
It seemed like he did. Yeah. Yeah. Seems like he did cry that out. All the drug withdrawal and the loss that he faced. Yeah. I think everybody cries that out. I think we all feel that at some point. Maybe at lots of points. I don't know.
You know, and as I'm saying this, I'm a tiny bit embarrassed that I haven't read that story in many years, the night of his crucifixion. And but I'm saying that, you know,
Yeah.
I've read it for many years, and I can look over the fence, you know, at my life and think, man, that was a hell of a night.
Yeah.
Thank God Paul came along to tell us what was going on
Right.
at that moment.
Yeah, because otherwise it would just be profound and mysterious,
Mm-hmm.
which is good too. You know, but to have some what do they call that? Exhibition later on in the story, that helps with the narrative too. Want to know what's going on, what it was all about, resolve the mystery. You know, otherwise
I
it's
live
not a
here
good
in
story.
Mormontown, and they have some type of weird ideas about things. And I don't know what this is about. I don't really care to pay attention to Mormon
Yeah.
ideas, but they have it that we were saved by Jesus sweating blood a couple of days before the cross. Remember, he was
What?
praying. He was praying, and he was so stressed out that he was sweating blood.
I really didn't know about that.
Yeah,
I've never
it's
heard
right
that.
there in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I forget where it is, but
Huh.
he was praying. He knew the cross was coming, and he was so nervous about it, or something. You know,
Huh.
that he started shedding blood even before the cross.
Wow.
And so I think, but so even though I don't go along with the Mormons in saying that's what saved us,
Right.
but at least that's what began. You know, that's the turn of events. You know,
Right.
the
That's when
plot
it
really
started.
thickens.
Yeah.
He's sweating blood. What's going on here?
Yeah. Huh. That's when the blood started.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the life is. There's a mystery there too.
That the soul is in the blood.
Yeah. Yeah. That blood splashed down on that hill and mixed with the thieves' blood. And
Yeah. So on the night that he was crucified, I mean, think of how many stories were going on. He's having a chat with Peter. He tells Peter, "You're
right.
going to deny me 3 times." All of the disciples scatter. He's got this Judas guy that he really loves. He's washed
Right.
his feet and had broken bread with him a lot, and put him in charge of the finances of this little band of
Right.
merry men. What's he do with Judas? How does he feel about that? He doesn't even have time to think about all this crap that's going on so fast. He's got an angry mob. He's got Roman soldiers beating the shit out of him. He's got people spitting on him. He has to talk to Pharaoh. Not Pharaoh.
The
Pontius Pilate.
Yeah, Pontius Pilate. Yeah.
He has to talk to Pontius Pilate,
The governor.
the big kahuna
Right.
of the region, and yet he looks like hell. Can I at least do my hair?
Right.
No, he's a mess dragged before Pontius Pilate.
But he
And the
speaks with
conversation
clarity.
between him and Pontius Pilate is
Yeah.
fascinating. It was straight out of Dr. Burns' book, The Games People Play.
And
And
Jesus dodging dodging games and
right up until the end, they were trying to play. Now I've got you, son of a bitch.
Right.
Yeah. And then, he's got to look over the fence to see what the Sanhedrin, the rulership of the Jews, is doing at this time.
Right.
They're supposed to be looking out for the people. He's got Barabbas to, factor. I mean, his mind must be going a million miles a minute because all of this is happening within the space of hours. Not days, not weeks, not months, It started like 8 hours ago.
Right.
Barabbas, Peter, Judas. Where
Right.
does the mind settle on if you're going to play victimhood, poor me? And then it gets worse, moment by moment by moment. It gets worse until he's up on the cross. And the worst prayer anybody can pray is, my God, why have you forsaken me? I can't imagine praying that prayer. But maybe we all will. Because the kenosis is a real thing.
Yep. Christ
humbling himself, emptying himself, and we will empty ourselves too. Because we are, we are intimately connected to him, and what happens to him happens to us, and what happens to us happens to him. So maybe we can say there was so much going on there that he was confused. Like, what?
I think it's fine to say that he wasn't being forsaken. We cannot be forsaken.
Right.
But it sure feels like it in that moment.
Right.
That moment's real and it's important. And it's what ripped the veil.
Oh, yeah. And the veil rips. Yeah. And he probably didn't even know that was going on.
Right.
And the rocks were rent, and the sun went dark for what, 30 minutes or more?
Yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff was going on. Yeah. Meanwhile, he's out.
And you know how pain zaps the strength out of you?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but
I do.
I've been in pain, but
yes, sir.
So it zaps the strength out of you. You go, it'll drive you right to bed,
Yeah.
And he had to endure all that back, his back raw to the bone, blood everywhere, pulled out his hair, pulled out his beard. What the hell? And that all zaps the strength out of you. How can he think clearly at that dear moment in time?
And all the mocking and the ridicule, the non-physical attacks too. Although it's hard for me to imagine that bothered him much because he prayed for their forgiveness.
How did he do that?
Right. I don't know.
With
it was
all
incredible.
that was going on, if your beard's ripped out, he didn't say, can I get a mirror and some cosmetic, I don't want to look like this.
Yeah.
But he prays the prayer, Father, forgive them. They just don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And one of Paul's favorite phrases in the book of Romans is, are you ignorant, brethren? Here lately, when I read that little phrase, he says it several times, I think. Yes, I am ignorant.
Yeah.
Count me in. Go ahead, Paul. Lay it down.
You better be careful, Ace, because folks will have to stop accusing you of not reading other books out of the New Testament besides Paul. Keep talking about John and Matthew and Mark and Luke. Then they'll be like, why don't you ever look at Habakkuk?
We had one guy who came over here some year ago or so and said, "How come you never read from Deuteronomy?"
Yeah.
God.
You're deliberately ignoring Deuteronomy. It's great. Although I admire anybody that actually reads Deuteronomy. That's some serious, intrepid scholarship there. Because you got to
Deuteronomy
smudge
by
through
itself is scholarship.
No, just being dedicated enough to read it. Just a list of that's the list of laws, right? Deuteronomy, or is that Leviticus?
I don't know.
Maybe it's both of
It's
them.
been 50 years since I read
It is both of
Deuteronomy.
them. Yeah, it's just a list of laws. It's boring. It's like reading, like the ordinances of your local town or whatever. It's legalese. It's nomianism.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yes. Are people scrapping in the chat?
It's pretty active.
Nice.
I can't really follow it,
Yeah.
but that's why it's there, so they can scrap.
There's a lot of love in that chat too. It's always nice visiting the folks that are there, saying hi to everybody. I find community in this space. Some of the best people I know hang out around here.
And a bunch of serious Bible students too.
Yeah. It's cool.
The other day, when I was busting JG's chops about things, I brought up Romans 8:20 and 21. What's it say? For to vanity was the creation subjected against its will because of God, because of him.
Because of him, yeah.
Yeah, and so the next day I did a whole little essay on those three words, because of him.
Yeah.
And the thing that I thought was amazing and wonderful is that I've looked at that passage, Romans 8:20, 21, for 50 years. I never saw because of him in such a delightful way as when I was arguing with JG. I was trying to get him to look at the damn passage, period. But, while I'm sitting there doing sword fighting, parrying, I'm saying, hey, look at this. Having my own little private conversation with Romans 8:20 and 21.
Right.
Hey, look at this. Because of him. That's interesting. I never spotted that before. You know how your mind can do a couple of things at once. In fact, you do your best concentration when you're the busiest. You ever notice that sometimes?
Yes. Yep.
That you need the busy stuff in order to concentrate the best?
Yep.
That was kind of a breakthrough moment, arguing with JG about some shit that he wasn't seeing.
Right.
And then I saw something else that I didn't even bring up to him because, if he wasn't seeing the other stuff, he wasn't going to see this.
Right.
That this whole passage is built around because of him. Isn't that cool?
That's really cool. That's a really cool moment. And it's an awesome phrase. Because of him is like bumper sticker material.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of insulting to the depth of it to call it bumper sticker material.
I just mean it's a universal statement. It applies to everything.
Yeah.
You could put an ellipsis before it, say ... because of him.
Yeah.
It's a profundity for sure. It's a central
It's a
notion.
profundity that can and likely will go right over our heads until, God wants us to spot it.
That's because our vanity, I think, makes us focus on the vanity part of that passage, and we think about ourselves.
Yeah.
The creation part of it, not the him part of it.
So let me highlight it
That's
in
what I do.
green. See? Just for people out there who are casually dropping by, we have a proof positive that Romans 8:20 and 21 says something, something, something because of him. Something, 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 something.
Him who subjects it,
Yeah.
I think, matters too, because that's specifically the subjector. That's only one dude.
The subjector is only one dude. It doesn't sound like you're a free willer. Because free willers think that there are 8 million dudes out there and they're all so important and they all determine their own destiny with their all good decisions. And if they don't do their good decisions in a hurry before their last breath, that'll be proof that they deserve their fate.
That's it.
Hey, did I tell you I got into it with the dude the other day?
No. That guy is interesting. He's very intense. He's on Praise's channel almost every day.
Yeah, it's almost like he's the gatekeeper, the bouncer there.
Yeah, he kind of is, I think. What did you guys talk about?
He couldn't wait to rip me a new one.
Right.
And I mean, he wouldn't shut up, with his yelling about the matter.
Yeah.
So you definitely could not overtalk him. It wasn't just a normal conversation of overtalkers, at normal or maybe slightly elevated voice levels. No, he was fucking yelling at me and calling me just like he normally does, you piece of shit type stuff.
Oh, wow.
And because I follow that book, that translation that was written by two guys out of Michigan. What? Why should we listen to that Bible translation? It was put together by two guys out of Michigan. Michigan, huh? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, he's close. Stuff happens in Michigan.
What do you got against
Knock
Michigan?
was from Germany, wasn't he?
Yeah, he has German lineage, and he started the work of the Concordant Publishing Concern in Los Angeles.
Right, that's right. Yeah. But it also, come on, lay off of Michigan. Lots of good stuff comes out of Michigan,
including Mac the Human and good restaurants.
There's a couple. That's hilarious. So you're leading people into hell by
this Bible translation that was put together by two nobodies from Michigan.
So normally, or sometimes your move there is to say, okay, let's just use a different Bible then. What Bible do you want to use? Did you do that?
There was no time.
No time.
There was no decibel level that allowed me to say hello or boo.
Sucks. Yeah.
And so, so he was so accusatory, right? And basically, if I can sum it up from my perspective, I believe that God is God and he believes in free will and he defends free will with his dying breath, right?
Right.
That you have a free will and you better use it and hurry up because you only have until your very last breath, and then it's too late. Anyway, so with his worship of human free will to determine your destiny, he started prattling and prattling and prattling on, and he said, God tries to do this and that with the sinner, but the sinner, just will not be fully persuaded.
Right.
Because he uses that phrase over and over again, that he is fully persuaded, and you better be fully persuaded, or there's hell to pay. But when he said God tries, I said, excuse me, did you say God tries? So if God tries and it doesn't happen, then God tries and he fails. So God is a failure. Your God is a failure, right? Is that what you're saying? And boy, he just blew his top. Don't put words in my mouth.
That's exactly what he's saying.
I didn't put words that you said. God tries. And it went downhill from there.
And we're able to subvert his will. Somehow.
God tries, but God can't help it.
It's not strong enough.
So anyway, it went downhill from there because I didn't get any other words in, except from his shaming language, his browbeating language, his guilt tripping language,
Right.
His aggressive tone. And then when I called him out on yelling at me, "What's the matter, you little pussy? You can't take the word of God. I'm filled with the Spirit. What's wrong with you?" Right? That kind of attitude. I'm filled with the Spirit. What's wrong with you? You're yelling, Bucky, like a girl.
Settle down.
He would not. Anyway, so it was not a fun visit at all.
No, doesn't sound very productive.
I mean, but it's nothing personal because you've seen him do it with dozens of other people over on Praise I Am.
Yeah.
It's those very same words he's used on everybody else. You piece of shit.
Yeah.
I'm fully persuaded. Why aren't you fully persuaded? And so forth and so on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so are you familiar with Romans 10? There's a little throwaway line in Romans 10. Okay, here it is. Go ahead, verse 3. Read that.
Romans 10, chapter 10, verse 3. For they, being ignorant of the righteousness of God and seeking to establish their own righteousness, were not subjected to the righteousness of God.
You ever stopped at this passage?
Just now I did.
Okay.
I want to read it again. For they, being ignorant. Who's they here?
The Jews.
Okay. For they, being ignorant of the righteousness of God and seeking.
He didn't say that the Jews are ignorant of God.
Right.
But they're ignorant of the righteousness of God.
Gotcha. And they're interested in establishing their own righteousness.
Right. This is the throwaway line that I want you to see. Just the phrase that it is within the realm of possibility to seek to establish your own righteousness, right?
Right, right.
So it's a biblical phrase, just like being fully persuaded is a biblical phrase, right?
I suppose.
Anyway, so after my joyous interaction with the dude, I thought the next time I ever have to see him, and I hope I don't, I could say, well, nobody could ever argue that you haven't established your own righteousness.
Right.
Because that's exactly what he was doing with me in that conversation.
Right.
He took anything I said as a challenge to him. So he was establishing his righteousness, his rightness, and he was going to smack me around against the wall, up and down, mop the floor with me.
Beat you up with his righteousness.
Right.
Interesting.
So he was seeking to establish his own righteousness. Now, one of the reasons I highlighted this when I, back quite some time ago, as a verse to look at, is the guys like JG and Jill, and including the dude, They are self-righteous, and they want to tell you that you're going to hell.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you say you're a Christian or not, you're going to hell. Well, anyway, one of the things that they run to in their defense is Romans 10, 9 and 10. Okay? Because it says, if ever you should be avowing with your mouth or confessing with your mouth the declaration that Jesus is Lord, and should
Sure.
be believing in your heart that God raises him from the dead, you shall be saved.
Yeah.
And they use this as a formula
Right.
to get saved.
This
Here's
is
the
at the
formula.
end of all the chick tracks. This
Yes,
verse.
this
Yeah.
is the end of all the chick tracks. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, now, and then verse 10 is a complement to it. It says, for with the heart it is believed for righteousness, yet with the mouth it is avowed for salvation. Verse 11 is almost changing the subject, but it's still complimentary. And it says, for the scripture saying, everyone who is believing on him shall not be disgraced, and so forth and so on. All right, now, so these self-righteous assholes
Right.
run to Romans 10, verses 9 and 10 to say, see here, you got to at least say that Jesus is Lord or you're going to hell. It doesn't say that.
Not at all.
I mean, it says something, but, and something kind of wonderful, but, you know, we'd have to really get you a new curriculum and put you in a new school in order to have a better discussion, because, you know, you're the chick track kind of guy, right?
Right.
Okay, so they use Romans 10, 9 and 10 to browbeat a fellow, right? In essence. They don't rejoice that if you
Right.
say Jesus is Lord, you'll be saved. That doesn't
No.
sound like good news to them. It sounds like, here
You
is something I can strong arm you with, right?
you better do it. Better do it right now.
Because whenever I bring up that every knee will bow and every tongue will say Jesus is Lord, that pisses them off.
Right.
And Paul's other little comment,
This is a promise. This isn't a threat.
and
This is
Paul's
a
other little comment in the same venue in Corinthians, he says, nobody can say Jesus is Lord except by Holy Spirit.
right.
Jesus is Lord will save you. Nobody can say Jesus is Lord except by Holy Spirit. And everybody, every knee will say, every knee will bow and every tongue will say it
Right.
throughout the whole world. So they can't handle that this is some kind of good news. They got to use it for browbeating material. Okay. Now, knowing that they got to use it for browbeating material, let's back up 6 verses.
Oh, you mean context?
Yeah.
Careful.
Verse 3. They're seeking to establish their own righteousness. Well, that's a thing that you can do. You never see that as a chick track.
Right. That's what the chick tract is doing.
I know.
Yeah.
So these guys, being ignorant of the righteousness of God, are seeking to establish their own righteousness. And by the way, you better say Jesus is Lord before it's too late. I did get that into the ears of the dude. I said, you know, the words
Nice.
too late are not in the Bible.
Nice.
It didn't seem to thrill him. But they're seeking to establish their own righteousness. And Paul says 2 things here in verse 3. He says they're ignorant of the righteousness of God and they're not subject to the righteousness of God. And of course, the vast majority of evangelical fundamentalists have no idea what this verse is all about. And I confess, I still have no idea what this verse is all about. But I can say that I have learned that the righteousness of God is revealed through the faith of Christ. Romans 3:21 through 38. because there it clearly says in plain vocabulary that the righteousness of God is manifest through the faith of Christ.
Hmm.
And the context is the faith of Christ regarding what? Well, it's the faith of Christ regarding him going to the cross that night. And remember that night? We were just talking about that night and what an awful night it was. And, after all the stuff that we just went over, of course, it takes a lot of faith to go through that night. Christ needed a lot of faith. He had faith in God to go through that crazy night. Well, anyway, so what does that night produce? It produces the righteousness of God, and most of Christianity is ignorant of the righteousness of God. And most of Christianity is not subjected to the righteousness of God. They're off trying to establish their own righteousness by browbeating you and getting you to say the magic words. Jesus is Lord. Yay, I feel saved already. Give me a bumper sticker, please. Anyway,
Right.
so I think that for me, in my thinking about things, seeking to establish your own righteousness is somehow tied to Romans 10, 9 and 10, because it's only just 6 verses away. How does that work? What is the connection? It's a legitimate question. I'm not going to answer it because I may know or I may not know. I don't have to know. And, I can just pass it on to you. Figure it out. It's only 6 verses away. What do they have to do with each other? What does establishing your own righteousness or seeking to establish your own righteousness have to do with the declaration that Jesus is Lord? Do the two cancel out each other? That's one thing I thought I came up with. Verse 3 seems to cancel the pride seeking mentality of the evangelical fundamentalists. The 2 verses seem to cancel out each other. It would make me say, you've got no business quoting Romans 9:10 in such a browbeating way to guilt and shame a fella because he hasn't joined your cults.
It seems to me that declaring Jesus is Lord is the opposite of establishing your own righteousness.
There you go. Because Jesus is Lord has everything to do with slavery too, I've come to believe. Because the word Lord.
Right. It means you don't have anything, much less righteousness.
If he really is Lord,
yeah.
You are slave. We're all slaves. He is Lord, and we don't have a damn thing to say about it.
Right.
And we certainly can't have that tribal mentality. I'm a Christian and you're not. And I'm with the tribe of God and you suck. You're going to hell.
Nothing to brag about.
Welcome, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hi. How you guys doing?
We're here solving all the problems of the world.
Yeah, I hope you've been paying attention.
Yeah, I was just listening for a while here. Just got on a little while ago, just listening. So, hi, Mac. I'm Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Ace. Again.
I really enjoy it when you're on here, man. You've got a really cool understanding and a way of explaining it. I really like listening to you, man.
Yeah, one thing that one of the theologians that I really, really enjoy reading, Karl Barth. He just wrote Church Dogmatics. It's just a vast volume of commentaries on the Bible and ancient church history and all kinds of things. And he's recognized as one of the greatest 20th century theologians. And somebody asked him at the end of his life, so Mr. Barth, what after all these years, what's what do you think is there anything else you can add to the volume of stuff that you've written? And he says, you know what? He says, after all these years of studying, learning all this stuff, he says, I've come to the place to believe what the Bible says, that Jesus loves me. Yes, I know, because the Bible tells me so. After all that vast knowledge of theological masterpieces and works and scholarly works, he come to the conclusion that just a simple faith in Jesus and believing that Christ loves you, and there's nothing that can ever separate you from that love. Nothing. And that's what the cross is. And I've been studying a lot of this stuff for years. I got all Karl Barth's all his dogmatics. I got Calvin's, all his commentaries. I got a lot of that stuff. And
Cool.
but I come to the realization, as much as I love that stuff, the center of the whole universe, the center of everything, is to see Christ crucified.
It's that cross. Yeah, amen. Amen.
When we see that, everything else makes sense. If we don't see that, everything is confusing.
Yeah.
And that's the center of the universe, is the cross and what Christ did for us. There was a new humanity was formed at the cross, something that we've never seen before. Christ created.
God, Joe, that's exciting, because that's exactly what I've been teaching on for the last year.
Yeah.
Not straight away, but I've been sneaking it in, like under the. You've noticed?
Oh yeah, I've been following, man. I listen to you, and I hear all your little stuff, the things where you go and you take people, you try to lead them down the pathway but they kind of struggle. They don't want to follow too far. But I believe. God has never let me down. He's never failed me. He's never deceived me. He's never done any of these things, and I'm not afraid to believe what he says.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastically huge concept to understand that what came out of the grave that day, was a new humanity.
Exactly.
Something that science has never seen before. A fellow that can't die?
Yeah.
What?
And Ace, what was the cross before the new humanity came? What did God do? He completely devastated the old humanity at the cross. Peter, the Romans, the priests, the Sadducees, everybody at the cross, around the cross, was completely devastated and found out that they were completely incapable of being, completely incapable of doing anything to earn their salvation apart from Christ. Peter absolutely collapsed at the cross, denied the Lord 3 times, absolutely devastated him, just broke him inside. And that's what the cross needs to do to us. It needs to break us and devastate us to the place where we absolutely are bankrupt, absolutely we're abandonment of ourselves, and we see Christ for what he's done. The cross is always an invitation to death before it's an invitation to life. Death always precedes the event of life. And God takes us down these dark, harsh roads to bring us to the end of ourselves, to prove to ourselves. That's why God takes so long to teach us these things. It takes him so long, and humanity, it takes him so long to prove to humanity how utterly bankrupt and hopeless they are unless God comes in and does it himself. And man still refuses to believe that.
So you don't mind if I correct your vocab from time to time?
Oh, you do whatever you like. It's your,
Okay,
your channel, man.
So it doesn't make me happy for you to say it takes God so long, because I would say that God is in no hurry.
Oh yeah.
He's in no hurry. And I want to tie it back to that verse that says that we are conciliated by the death of his son, but we're saved in his life.
Yes.
And what that means to me, anyway, is that now that he's alive and can't die, He's got all the time in the world to
Oh
save
yeah,
us.
yeah.
We are saved in his life.
Yeah, exactly.
And he cannot die. So
Yeah, he's got all the time. Yeah,
he's got all the time in the world to save us. There's no such word in the whole Bible as too late. In spite of what the dude was trying to stuff down my throat last night or give me an enema with.
That's right. Yeah. It only hurts if you resist.
That's gross. Well, you started it with that metaphor.
But Ace, God has set a time, the Aeonian age, to bring man to that lesson, and He has a set time. There's a set time, though. At the end of time, when man has absolutely come to the end of himself, and God is leading humanity down that road to the other end, to the utter end of themselves, before He really truly reveals His salvation to the whole world. But man has to really believe that it's only in Christ. It's only Him that can do it. Man has to find hopelessness in himself, and I think many of saints have got there, and to the place of utterly, God, if you don't do this, I'm not able to do this. I can't walk this walk. I can't live this Christian life unless you do something that you've never done before. And what is the big obstacle that God wants to break? It's pride. It's the pride of man, and it's the deadly pride, and that's what God wants to break. When the power of the pride is broken, then God comes in. But it takes time. For some it takes longer than others.
Yeah, and to me, that explains why God can do a complete job on a little baby.
Yeah,
Born on Wednesday and dies on Friday.
exactly.
Because they don't need a lot of experience with busting their pride.
Yeah,
I guess. I'm just thinking out loud. They come in and they're sweet enough, and
yeah.
then their next conscious moment will be in the presence of God, and they will have complete understanding. And right when God is saying to Judas, "Now do you understand?" He'll say to that little baby, "Now do you understand?"
Ace, even being fed this hell and brimstone gospel when I was younger, I just, everybody just feed it down your throat and try to scare the heck out of you. I always had trouble with it. I could never really settle it. Even when I was young, I could never settle it that God would do that. It just didn't make sense to me that this kind of God was like that. I always struggled with that.
Me too.
If God has put, we're created in God's image. So, God He gives us wisdom and understanding, and He gives us moral understanding. And if we think like that, then there's something, if God is like that, and we don't feel comfortable with that, then what the heck is that all about? Like, are we wrong or is God wrong?
They say the people who say that that's the truth say that we don't have a good understanding of what right and wrong is.
Yeah.
We have to defer to something that seems evil to us.
Yeah.
As being good. I don't understand that. Like, either I was given my understanding of good and evil by God, or I don't know. Like, that's the only way it works.
Yeah.
Like, I could still be wrong, I guess, but that would be on God. I don't know.
I mean, we've just read the scriptures. We've got such a history, like a couple thousand years of just some really bad teaching, and it's just we've been fed this stuff through our mother's milk growing up, and this is what we've learned. And to undo this damage, it's going to take time. But I think, what? I think we're coming into those days where people are just sick of taking this crap and believing everything they hear. People want to know truth, and they're willing to pay the price for truth. And until we get there,
for sure, I mean,
truth is costly. Truth is a costly thing.
I hope you're right anyway.
Well, I think I'm right because if Paul says that, I believe Paul, and I think Paul fully, clearly says these things in his epistles and that. I think he's so clear. If you read Paul, I always wondered, how come Paul doesn't talk about hell? How come he doesn't talk about these things that everybody
Right.
seems to talk about? And nobody's ever given me a good answer until I started searching this stuff out.
Hey, Gabe.
The
Who's that,
Ohio
Gabriel?
contingent has arrived. Tell us, Mr. Gabriel, what is Antioch Baptist Church in Canton, Ohio doing today? You need to keep an eye on those guys so we can spy out their bondage. Silence, huh? Well, must be a lot of activity going on at Antioch Baptist Church in Canton, Ohio.
Did they have lemon bars at the bake sale? Those are
You know
good.
what? They had a bunch of old vinyl records at the bake sale. Yeah, I'm sure you've been to potlucks before,
Sure.
church potlucks.
Yeah.
Hey,
Have you been to them, Joe? Church potlucks?
Oh yeah, I've done it all.
Okay, so see
I've
if
been
you
everywhere, man.
see if you concur with my experience that the conversations at those church potlucks are boring.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Hey, Mac, what part of the U.S. are you from?
I'm in Michigan.
Oh, you're Michigan, eh?
Yeah.
I'm in Canada, up in British Columbia.
Oh, cool. Nice. Beautiful over there.
Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, little cold right now, but not bad.
My the Scottish side of my family immigrated to that part of Canada.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if you know anybody.
But yeah, there's quite a few people live here. Everybody, a lot of when I go to the States, my wife's American.
Mhm.
We used to go to the States, and they'd say, "You guys got paved roads up there?" Yeah, we got a few. Yeah. Do you see any polar bears?
Yeah, I used to live in Oregon, so
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't mind Oregon.
yeah, so I drive up and down the coast there. I never got all the way to BC, but boy, is it beautiful over there in the Pacific
it is.
Northwest. I love it. Love it over there.
Yeah, it's nice. for sure,
Gabe,
yeah.
test your audio and let's see how that sounds.
Come in, Gabriel. I thought I heard something. Nothing, man.
I do hear something, Gabe, like you're shuffling a deck of cards or something.
Yeah.
Sing to us. Sing to us the song of Darla when she sang to Alfalfa, the love song of love songs. I'm in the mood for love.
Can you hear that? How does that?
That sounded awesome.
Did it?
Yeah.
Was that clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Crystal clear. It sounded really crispy. Is it amplified?
No, it's just flat. It's just straight guitar. I just wondered. On one of my other podcasts, I try to lead worship, and it just doesn't come through.
It sounds beautiful.
Boys and girls, welcome to the Ace Theological Hootenanny. It's December 30th, 8:30 p.m. here in the Salt Lake Valley. We have a police sketch artist give us a rendering here of an Antinomian. Have you seen this Antinomian?
It looks like Ace with a shaven face.
And by the way, we just got this in across my desk. It turns out that this is an antinomian for whom Christ died. So even Christ is looking for him.
Antinomian, like what like he said to Adam, Antinomian, where are you? Where are you hiding? The woman made me do it.
This police interview is not going very well. The woman made me do it.
And then the woman says, the serpent made me do it. And then the serpent says, well, God made me do it.
Joe, where were you between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. 57 days ago?
I don't know. I can't think that far back, man.
That's no excuse. So you have no alibi.
Sorry, man. You never catch me up here in Canada. You need a dog sled to catch me up
You'll
here.
never catch me.
A dog sled to catch you.
The antinomian rides away into the snow drifts, yelling out, "You gotta obey the law!"
Yeah, I got a pet polar bear, so you guys be very careful.
Right.
Welcome back, Gabe.
Come in,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I don't know what
Gabe,
happened.
have you seen this antinomian? This is a police sketch of an antinomian.
Yeah, that's Sean Eagle. He lives in Boise.
What? Uh-oh.
Well, Gabe's a rat.
You know what happens to rat pinks, don't you?
Did you draw that, Ace?
No, I told you it's a police sketch of an antinomian.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Got an APB. There actually is some deep lore associated with that picture, but it's better to leave it mysterious, probably.
Bagwell, how did you get here?
Hey,
I finally got on. I'm not very tech savvy. I had my wife do it for me.
thanks, Mrs. Bagwell.
You're doing better than I was doing.
Yeah. I've been wanting to get on. I've been watching for a couple months. I've been wanting to get on, but I'm not much of a talker and I couldn't figure it out. But tonight I finally got it working.
Okay, you've been watching for a couple of months. What have you picked up so far?
What drew me to it was, like the free will and the salvation of all. And I've watched a lot of Zinder and Alan Hess and all the big guys. I really believe that salvation of all and reconciliation of all is the best gospel out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is fun.
Mr. Bagwell, have you seen this guy? This is a police sketch of an antinomian, and we need to talk with him.
Oh, is he a lawless one? That's what antinomian means, right?
That's hilarious.
Yes. But yeah, I'm pretty excited I got on. So
he is a lawless Confederate.
There's no turning back now, man. You're stuck here now.
Yeah.
Welcome home.
Yeah. And I love the long shows. I went back yesterday and found the one where Zender was on there.
Yeah.
There was like 10 dudes in the chat and everybody was talking back and forth. I watched about half of it.
Uh-huh.
It was from 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that one. That was fun.
Yeah. I watched it last night. Most of it last night.
Remember St. Tommy hit him with his, "Are you now or have you ever claimed to be a member of the body of Christ?"
Martin
And Zender's
Zenda.
like, "What?
Who do you think you are, Martin Zenda?
That guy was funny. Does he come around very often anymore?
Yeah, we like him.
He was funny.
Gabe likes him.
I do. I love St. Tommy.
Is Gabe's last name Zinder?
Pretty much.
Is Zinder's Gabe? Is Zinder your dad? Correct?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I found that out yesterday.
Oh, Mac.
Yes.
There was another highlight I forgot to tell you about between me and Dude.
Yeah.
So, Dude is smacking me around left and right. You know, You suck. No, I'm serious. You suck. You suck. You piece of shit. You suck. You suck. Let me close this so you have your own little reality without interrupting my reality. So anyway, so then he started proceeding to establish his own righteousness, you know? And after he had established his own righteousness, I said, lucky you.
Nice. Did you wait for a pause so he could hear it? Yeah, nice.
That was a conversation earlier today that you had that prompted the show, Ace. I missed out. I'm sorry.
I don't know if it was
today. I don't know what prompted the show. Just some discussion about how evil those Antinomians are.
Oh, okay. I was assuming.
I guess he mixed it up with the Dude, though, recently. So, have you ever listened to that guy, Gabe?
Yeah. Well, he had a period of time, maybe about a month or so, when he was kind of on board with us over here.
Oh, really?
And was real peaceable. And he was talking to Ben Abraham and everything. And then...
Oh, wow. I missed that, I guess.
He jumped the boat over to Praise I Am's and haven't really heard of him since then.
I think he's pretty angry about the whole thing now.
Yeah, he was always a little angry, but he was a little more peaceful when he was here.
Yeah. Wow. You got to appreciate a guy that's fired up, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, Paul was pretty fired up, and God got a hold of him.
Right.
So Ryan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Take over and give us a testimony of your journey of faith. Where did it start? What were the highlights? Where are you now?
Oh man, that's a long story.
I'm sure you can give us the abridged version.
Yeah. I had a friend that studied the Bible a lot more than I did. This was probably about 12 years ago. And he was showing me all these things, you know, that you guys are talking about now. And it was so new to me. It was really hard to figure out. And eventually, you know, over time, I was starting to understand everything. And then I went back to the old belief, you know, with hell and, you know, works of righteousness or whatnot. But then, and then I started studying free will. Free grace people. I can't remember the guy's name, but it's just all about free grace. And I studied that for like a year. And I'm like, you know, the way they taught, you know, like if it truly is free grace, why doesn't the guy down the road, why doesn't he receive that free grace as well? And then I went back, then I came back to this side to where I believe now, of the reconciliation of all. But I've been studying the Bible for about 10 years, 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's definitely tough to wrap your head around because of all the man's traditions and the bad translations. Martin was the one that got me looking into the Enoch translation. And I think I said earlier on the chat that the Rothingham Bible is good as well.
What's it called?
The Rothingham.
Never heard of that.
Rothingham, yeah, it's one of the 10 literal translations out there.
Yeah, it's similar to the Concordant literal.
That's a
Cool.
great little Bible. That's really nice to read. I enjoy that one too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
I just downloaded the app for it the other day. But yeah, it's not easy sometimes because like my wife, she doesn't agree with it at all. She still believes in the she she don't like me talking about that much. You know what I mean? That can be hard.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Just the bad translations and the teachings from the bad translations. People were like, how can we be wrong? For so long. All those people were wrong. You're saying all those people were wrong. Billy Graham was wrong. You know what I mean? All these people are wrong.
I know Billy Graham is a saint. How dare you say he was full of bulla?
Yeah.
This is a kind of a lonely journey, this believing this, because it's
Yeah.
still it's not very common, and it's a death. You go through a death when you enter into believing this, because it just knocks the snot out of you of everything you've learned and been taught.
Mhm.
You're not alone, buddy. There is people out there that are going down this journey, and you know what?
Mhm.
This is the journey of God, and this is the journey of Christ. He died alone. He did this whole thing himself. So
Yeah.
we're in good company, and don't never be ashamed of this, because
Mm.
it's the grace and love and mercy of God in the end that will win all this crazy stuff that we've been taught over the years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I've followed a lot of preachers that got fired from their jobs for believing it.
Hmm.
I can't
Really?
remember. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How dare they?
Yeah. Somebody has to go to hell, darn it.
I got that experience. I I gave a talk. I was appointed to be the Sunday school teacher, the leading Sunday school teacher of the adult class.
Uh-huh.
And my first talk was on how the Bible came to be in English. So I traced out the history of, how it traveled around the world for almost 1,000 years as a Latin document. And then Wycliffe made the first English Bible. And because Wycliffe only had the Latin Bible, it influenced many of the words that we use. Like if he had had a Greek Bible, we might be talking about the health of the Lord as opposed to the salvation of the Lord.
Hmm.
But certain Latin words came to us just through this pure accident that Wycliffe made the first English Bible from a Latin Bible, not a Greek. Anyway, so I finished up the talk. The class was obviously excited and agitated because it's hard to think a new thought, and it's just as hard to hear a new thought, right?
The health of the Lord is a new thought for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
so
going to
the
think about
salvation of
that for a
all,
minute.
saying Christ accomplished the health of all. That's an interesting way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's some meat there. Anyway,
No, let's explore that thought.
Yeah.
Go on.
Without the internet, I would have never even come across this belief. I don't believe. You know what I mean? I don't, because nobody ever talks about it. Especially in the Western Church.
yeah.
So I finished up my talk, and it was Sunday. I went home, and a couple hours later, a gaggle of deacons knocked on my door. And they basically said I couldn't come back to church.
Yeah.
My crime, a new thought.
Yeah.
I gave them all a new thought.
Yeah.
You know what? This belief of universal reconciliation, who gets all the glory in the end? Only Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And this other stuff that we've been taught, that
Yeah.
everybody puts a fence in. It's like, if you don't believe like we believe, you're not going to make it.
Right.
It's a fear tactic, man. There's no love in that at all. It's a selfish gospel. Did we lose everybody?
Could this police sketch be Christ?
That would be great.
Because you ask who gets the glory in the end. Could this guy get the glory in the end?
Probably. It's probably that guy.
He needs all the glory he can get.
I don't know where you got that picture of me, but
Let me look and see again. What do we got here? Yeah, I see the similarities. Because police sketches, they can do no wrong, right?
it's dead
Hey,
on.
Ryan, where are you from?
Indiana.
Indiana.
Yeah.
Isn't the Zoom amazing? We could never do this years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so amazing, man. We don't even have to go to church. We just can meet. I'm a part of a Zoom group that we meet every Saturday night. So it's so cool.
Cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Ryan, if we ever get our shit together and do a Midwest meetup, we gotta get you in on it.
Yeah, sounds good.
You know, a conference out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in
We'll
back.
meet
Someday we should make a conference. I can help out too.
I think it'd be really cool. I mean, I don't know if there's been one in the Midwest for a while, but there hasn't been one since I've known about stuff. It'd be cool if we did it right in Akron, Ohio, right down the street from Antioch Baptist. Maybe we could rent Antioch Baptist Church. I'll hold it there.
From Mac.
They'd have to exercise it after you guys are done.
Where are you from, Mac?
Oh, Michigan.
Okay. Yeah.
Southeast Michigan, near Ann Arbor. So,
Yeah, I've been there.
yeah. So pretty close to Indiana. Or
Yep.
parts of Indiana, anyway.
Yeah, I live pretty close to Indianapolis.
Right on. Muncie area.
Not. It's about an hour away.
Good. Muncie's a terrible place. I wish Muncie on nobody.
My wife was born in Youngstown, Ohio.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I've been right through there. But there's a lot of people in the body out here in this area of the country. So we could round up some knuckleheads.
Do you watch Scott Hicko at all, Ryan? Have you run into his videos?
Scott Hicko? No.
Uh-huh.
No.
He's another really good one. He's over. I forget if he's Illinois or Indiana, but he's over by you. But
Yeah.
he goes to the Concordant conferences, and he's got a lot of good stuff on his channel.
Okay, I'll have to try to remember that. I'm always looking out for new guys to learn from. I'll watch them for a while, and it seems like everybody's good at a certain thing, and you'll pick up on that. That's what they're good at. You draw out what you can from them and move on to the next guy and draw out what you can. That's the beauty of the internet, You don't really have to read a book anymore.
Ace is good at the long conversation. Like over years with the same guys.
Yeah.
Over years with the same guy?
With the same guys.
Oh.
Yeah. The same conversation sometimes too. You're famous for your patience.
And the writing too is a unique style to live write thoughts.
That's
and then
true.
Read the writing after. I think that's a new thing.
He ran out of stuff to read, so he started writing stuff. There he is.
Oh, that's that guy you're talking about?
Scott Hicko. Yeah.
Okay. I'll screenshot it so I can remember. Nope, I've never ran across him.
He's got all the fundamentals. I don't know of anything he teaches that's off base from the Concordant things that you've been hearing, at least. from the channels you mentioned.
Uh-huh.
But everybody's got their own areas of study, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. They're good at one particular thing.
He made a really great cartoon one time. It's one of his first videos from 3 or 4 years ago, but it's maybe the best example of the good evangel in a easy to digest format. It's something you could share with Christian friends. I have to find that link again, but it's great.
Huh.
It's like a little
The good
cartoon.
evangel.
A cartoon?
He made, yeah. It's
I'd like to see that.
Well, you won't be able to see it because he got sued by Jack Chick
Oh, really?
Tracks. Yeah, they sued him, and he's now in bankruptcy court. Scott Hicko is.
He is?
Yeah, because Chick
gosh.
Tracks is just really pissed that he drew a cartoon.
That's
And they
our
said,
idea.
What?
That's our idea. We did the cartoons.
Yeah. So part of his punishment is court mandated. He has to stand out on the highway and pass out Chick Tracks. Teach him a lesson he'll never forget. Judge, I'll never draw another cartoon again.
Gotta say the sinner's prayer every day out loud.
Do you guys still see those things around at your local grocery store or anything?
I haven't seen any fresh ones in a long time, but I have a collection of them that I've like saved over the years. And you can still buy them online too. They are still in business. So, but I think Jack Chick himself has died a long time ago.
They have them at my local grocery store.
They do.
I usually grab a few just to dwindle, take the
Sure.
supply lower. Yeah.
I was buying them and passing them out in the 70s.
Wow. Well, you did a lot of good. Got people thinking. There's some wild ones, man.
Nice cartoons describing the worst possible outcome.
So the volume was off with Scott Hicko. So, I have a habit of analyzing plot lines, in media.
Uh-huh.
You know that, right, Gabe?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Plots and media style. So you can tell that Scott Hicko is a graduate of the TED Talk program because he's got the TED Talk hands.
Yeah.
With the TED Talk program, you can't go through you can't speak to any of their audiences unless you know how to do the TED Talk hands.
Right.
I think he's also a basketball coach, so I think some of his teaching style comes from teaching young people.
A lot of those hand gestures are cataloged by the NLP stuff.
Oh my God.
It's a way of like imprinting and stuff like that, anchoring, all that stuff goes on with the hand gestures.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, it's effective communication. If you're not being nefarious about it.
Hey, Ace, had a question. I don't know if you've really talked about it when I've been listening, but do you believe in the rapture?
What about it?
Do you believe in it? I mean, do you believe that it's biblical or?
Well, Paul says right there in Thessalonians, look out below. Here it comes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious on what you believed.
Well, I'll tell you my practical experience with it.
Uh-huh.
Paul doesn't spend a lot of time on it.
Uh-huh.
So I don't spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
I've been around as a Christian since 1967.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a long time. So in my years as a Christian, I can tell you that those Christian boys, they say that Christ is coming back next Wednesday at 3:00, and I've heard that so many times, and I'm sick of the subject. So
Right.
I don't talk about the rapture. I don't talk about the snatching away.
Yeah.
I'm bored to tears with it.
Yeah.
So, do you believe in it? That's a question. Do you believe in it? Okay, yeah, fine, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about it.
Right.
When it happens, it happens, and I think it's generally speaking, a pretty immature topic. And who goes on and on and on and on and on and on about it is those Christians who they got nothing better to do, and they got no life, and they've got no time to see the beauty of the cross and what it accomplishes. No, they're part of the club. So not just they can't tell you about their journey of faith. What they can tell you about is they're part of the club. And so there's an element of mental illness in Christianity that uses Christianity to identify with as your thing. If you want to, in fact, write this down, Ryan, it might help you. It's called The True Believer. It's a little 50-page book by Eric Hoffer, The True Believer by Eric Hoffer. And it's just a sociological thing that we tend to join clubs.
Right.
It's just a sociological thing that we tend to join cultish kind of clubs. And so a lot of people over the years, it seems to me, get all enthusiastic and won't shut up about the rapture because they're sure that they're going to be taken out. And, you know, you look at what's going on in their life, and they've got this wife that's driving them crazy, and this boss that's driving them crazy, and this old rusty car that's driving them crazy. And they're so miserable. They can't see any good, but they can see that they can be taken out next Wednesday at 3:00. I'm sure Jesus is coming next Wednesday at 3:00. Since 1967, I've heard so many of those stupid prophecies.
Yeah.
That I can see the facts that Paul mentions. It's coming. It's going to happen. It's one of the things we look forward to, but it's not the only thing we look forward to. We look forward to God becoming all in all, not the fact that we're going to get out of here so we don't have to pay our rent next month. And that's a core reason that some of the knuckleheads are so excited about it and won't shut up about it.
It can be distracting.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious.
Hey guys, I gotta go.
How dare you?
Gonna get some sleep. I know. How dare I? Thanks so much, though.
Right,
I love you guys.
Three layers of covers on your bed.
That's the plan.
And then if you get too hot, just stick one foot out. A naked foot will cool you down.
Hope you feel better, Mac. Good to see you.
Good to meet you, Mac.
Thanks.
Take care.
Yeah. Always a pleasure, guys. Take care.
I like what you said, Ace. I don't like when people say that it's not going to happen, but your point makes sense because Paul didn't tell people just stand and wait with your head towards the clouds every minute of the day to expect Christ to return, right? That's not. He had missions, things to do. He had Timothy doing things.
Mm-hmm.
There's other things to do. Even if it is true, it will happen, but
yeah, but so I don't want to go down that Hal Lindsey type of mentality. Do you know what I mean by that, Ryan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I haven't studied in a while. It's been a couple years, but I don't know what made me bring it up, really.
But that stuff has been an embarrassment since the cowboy days.
Yeah.
The Seventh-day Adventists have an embarrassing chapter in their story where they all gathered in something like 1850 on a hill somewhere in Missouri because Jesus was coming back on Wednesday at 3:00. And finally they had to go home and get supper because he didn't show up.
Well, in another
And
way, though, so what, right? I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no, go ahead.
there's worse things to be made a fool of on earth than wanting Christ to return. So even if they're wrong 100 times, and the world thinks them stupid, I mean, there's worse things you can do.
Yeah. Like be an antinomian.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Antinomians, we don't even think they're going to heaven. How can God let the antinomians in?
I better get going there. See you guys later. Good to meet you guys. Take care, right?
Bye, Joe.
See you, Joe. Have a good night. Speaking of Antinomians, here's Tim. How you doing, Tim?
God damn those Antinomians to hell. How's Gabe doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm grooving along. Just waiting for Sean to sing. I posted the Scott's cartoon in the side chat.
Oh,
Oh, you
sweet.
did?
I didn't see Sean. Hey, Sean. How are you? I didn't mean to ignore you.
He looks like Jim Morrison.
Hey, guys. Yeah. Jimmy.
Man, those TED Talk hands are just mesmerizing. I'd believe no matter what this guy says.
Well, he was a teacher, right? Or is a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably had to go to some day-long seminar showing how to use your hands and communicate better with the difference so that they don't become antinomians.
Right, yeah. The Akron, Ohio School of Hypnotic Seduction.
Well, there's no antinomians in Italy, and they think it's because of the hand gesturing. Really does got it down pat, eh?
I feel bad for Scott. He's got a lot of great teaching here, and we're roasting his. I think it's just he must have taken public speaking classes, right, Tim? When he's learning how to
Right,
be a
that's
teacher
what
and
I'm
a coach.
thinking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's got the cool hair.
Just like you.
Are you saying I'm biased?
You guys all stick together.
Like eggs in a carton.
I'll be joining you forthwith. I'm on my way.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'd say so. I could see some things happening.
You got a pretty big head of hair.
Hey, Bagwell.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed comparing this channel with other Christian channels, that have the same format, a StreamYard platform. There's a lot more laughter on this channel than there is among those guys.
Where's Sean? What's Sean do? He has to have his mic shut off because we can't hear him laughing.
Yeah, this channel's unique. I've never found one quite like this one.
What's up, Raz?
Hey, we're just getting in trouble for swearing on the channel by somebody.
Oh, that's
Cool,
right.
man.
Little
Somebody
Tim
in the
says.
side chat.
Little Tim
Yeah.
says Christ didn't die for people who swear.
Oh, okay.
I suggested that slandering God and saying that the God of love
Aw.
sends people to hell
Yeah.
is a little more off-putting than someone saying the F word.
Yeah.
Hell itself is a swear word.
Remind me to send that meme to you. As a matter of fact, I'll send it tonight. Raz, you'll appreciate it. It's really cute.
Cool.
People who swear are goddamn to hell, I say.
It's got a guy in heaven, and it shows him being tossed out of heaven by a couple of they look like bodyguards or some shit, and it says
Oh, I
the guy
seen
said he said it because it's cool as hell up here.
it.
So they tossed him. Yeah.
Foul language, I guess, was too strong for the cross.
Foul language. Foul. So isn't foul like chicken and fish? Or no, not fish.
Turkey,
Chicken. Yeah.
grouse,
So chicken
partridge.
language, meat language, carnivore language.
Yeah,
It's
as
outlawed.
far as poultry's concerned, I just like turkey necks, really.
Oh yeah, turkey. Have you ever had that turkey neck soup? Oh my god.
Oh, I use the turkey necks to make stock, and then I confit the turkey necks, and boy, oh boy, they're amazing.
Yeah, I was in a church there in Tampa called Deeper Life Ministries, and I took a bus down there, and then I hitched back to Portland. But they had turkey neck soup and they were feeding like everybody in the neighborhood. So you could just come by, and they would, you just tap on the fence thing, they'd bring out some soup to you. But man, they had like pots of that turkey neck soup with onions and all kinds of goodies
Are you
in it.
getting that mixed up with jail?
No, I don't know.
Knocking
it was
on the fence to get your food?
Yeah, it was kind of cool though in a way. It was just a neighborhood, kind of they fed the poor. I guess they did all the good deeds. But yeah, that turkey neck soup rocked, man. Yeah.
Hey, Tim, how do you make your soup stock?
Veal bones, and I always throw some chicken feed in it.
Chicken feed.
Chicken feed will gelatinize anything really fast.
Chicken feed.
Feet.
Oh, feet.
Yeah, you can get them for really cheap, and they really put a lot of collagen into it. Yeah, and then I'll throw some turkey necks in there too, and do it for like 12 hours, and then pull out the turkey necks and poach them in like bacon fat for a couple hours.
So you're just making meat and fat, and that's what you call the stock.
Yeah, but it's
soup.
But it's like as soon as it hits room temperature, it's a giant pot of Jello.
Okay.
Right? Because there's so much collagen in the chicken feed, especially, right? And you use veal bones instead of beef bones because there's more collagen in the young animal.
I see.
Right? And then you could throw pork hocks in there too if you got some.
Okay, so no vegetables, pepper, salt, anything. You just
yeah, like lemongrass and star anise, and I'll throw in some garlic and onions and carrots and celery. Right.
So you call this the stock. It's not ready to eat yet. What do you do to make it ready to eat?
Just strain it. right? And then
Or strain the
any
bones out.
right, and then if I've got, you know, I might do some mince and spice it up and throw that in, or stir in some eggs, like an egg drop soup kind of a thing when you're eating it, or just add it to mince when I'm cooking mince just to get some more collagen in there. And I don't skim it anymore. Like if I'm doing a dinner for people, I'll skim the fat, but for myself, I leave it in.
Right. Wouldn't want to share that fat with them, huh?
What is that vegetable base that all French cooking is based on for the stock that has
Mirepoix, onion, celery,
celery
and carrot.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. And it's different, like in the southern states, I think they use peppers instead of carrots.
Mirepoix?
Yeah, that's the word for it.
We're going to summon Ben by speaking a little French.
I got one of his recipes.
We have more laughter and more dead silence on this show, Ryan.
Comfortable silence.
Boys and girls, since the headline of the show says something about daring to suggest that antinomians are ones for whom Christ died, and the reference is Romans 5, 6, 10, and 6, 8, and 10. So let's read Romans 5, 6, 8, and 10. Here we go. For Christ, while we are still infirm, still in accord with the era, for the sake of the antinomians, died. See right there? Irreverent antinomians. Christ, for the sake of the irreverent, died. Isn't that cool? Verse 8.
I was thinking, how messed up is it to take irreverent and put in ungodly, as if there are things that are not of God created?
Yeah, it is. It's a King James boo-boo. Okay, verse 8. Yet God is commending this love of his to us, seeing that while we are still antinomians, Christ died for our sakes. What do you say, Brian?
Sounds good.
Verse 10, coming up, boys and girls. Stay tuned. Verse 10, here we are. For if, being antinomians, we were conciliated to God through the death of his son, much rather, being conciliated antinomians, we shall be saved in his life. Well, please somebody take this message over to them, their lawkeepers and ethics enthusiasts.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Tim, do you use a crock pot or a pressure cooker?
A pressure, either one of those would do good. I lost all mine in the divorce, so I just use a big pot.
Yeah, on the stove.
Yeah.
At very low Very low
Yeah,
temperature.
like you want to see bubbles, but very slow,
Okay.
right? And you can tell the bones have given up the ghost because they'll break easily.
Mm-hmm. And someone named Sean Eagle says Instapot rocks.
A lot of people use those things.
Lisa D says Antinomian, relating to the view that Christians are released by grace from the obligations of observing the law. Shameful.
I appreciate that because I've gone this far in the conversation without asking and not knowing exactly what
Oh, you
antinomian
didn't
meant.
want to be embarrassed by your ignorance?
I asked already today, Gabe. I had to ask Ace earlier.
So, Gabe, how many times in the book of Romans does Paul say, I do not want you to be ignorant, brethren?
10?
Oh, yeah. He says it a lot, actually. I've become fond of it when he says that. And I go, yeah, I am ignorant. And I'm glad you don't want me to be ignorant. What are you going to do about it, Paul? Relating to the view that Christians are released by grace from the obligation of observing the moral law. What?
Is this JG? What about ethics, Ace?
Yeah.
You guys are sinners.
Released from the moral law. Oh, interesting.
God
I mean,
forbid.
I thought that was the natural, normal course of events.
I guess that's why Christians never sin.
Aren't they special?
Unlike us heathens.
Sounds like we are those, unless I'm missing something, which is entirely possible.
Do the Nomians call themselves, the ones that oppose the Antinomians, do they call themselves Nomians?
I don't know.
Let it not be coming to that.
Any view which rejects law or legalism and argues against moral, religious, or social norms. Man, what a funny word. And what a funny thing to argue about.
Yeah.
Instead of arguing for the grace of God in truth, they got to argue about this crap. And they give it a name with 5 syllables. Antinomian.
I bet you JG just loves that word.
That would be a cool tune. Antinomian Man. Whoa, that'd be badass.
I find it strange, some of these terms like negentropy or antinomian, it applies like a falseness or an opposite to something that really is just perfectly in order, right? So antinomians really just believe in the grace of God, and that's perfectly in order with the operation of the universe. The scientists have all decided that the universe is going through something called entropy, where everything is breaking up and dying over time. And so if you believe that God is creating the universe with a purpose, that everything is actually coming together over time, they call that negentropy, a negation of their evil word. So everything is upside down.
Oh my God.
It looks like Lisa's on fire here. Let's see.
Nominalism is a completely different thing altogether.
Really?
Yeah, is a philosophical position that rejects the existence of universals or abstract objects, considering them to be merely names or labels.
Legalism is the opposite and teaches that to be saved, we need to receive Jesus as our Savior and keep the law. Wow.
These sound like answers JG is looking for when he's saying, what is your worldview? He wants us to say, I'm an antinomian, right?
Oh, cool. I can say that with comfort.
He's seeking out a woman named Karen. Allah 24/7. Thanks, honey.
Oh, God.
Your knife goes on the left-hand side of the plate.
A couple of years ago when JG came over here, and I said, here he is, boys and girls. Now we got to walk on eggshells. He was so insulted. He didn't like that accusation.
Ace, who was it when you changed the label on their thing and they got mad at you? So Ace, change that back.
Who was that?
Might have been Jill. I think it was Jill or something. I don't remember. It's one of them guys. Antinomian man. Antinomian man. Antinomian man.
What are you trying
He's
to give
a
us
real antinomian man. Reminds me
Sounds
of
like
that
a
song
Rush
by.
song.
I know, that's what I was thinking. He's the real antinomian.
Read this, Sean.
By teaching that victory is the only morality, many evangelical leaders seem to be enjoying the wild antinomian party.
What?
Cool.
What?
Yeah.
I guess like how they get caught with their secretaries and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Ryan, do you have a secretary?
No. I think my wife.
Well, can you get one before the night's over?
Probably not. That's a negative.
Well, how can you participate in antinomian victory if you don't have a secretary, baby?
I'll just think about it.
Yeah.
I'm good. I didn't play hide the salami with her again today.
Yeah. Yeah. Turkey neck bones.
Rasmus, where do you get chicken feet?
At the butcher or like ethnic. If you go to a butcher, I would imagine they have them in the back. Right? I can get them easy because, like, I live in ethnic land, right?
Uh-huh.
So, and they're cheap,
I've had
cheap as dirt.
chicken feet soup with the chicken feet still in it at a Mexican restaurant one time. And it wasn't on the menu. They just brought it to eat it for themselves. It was like their lunch pail, you know. And they said, "Hey, you want some of this?" And but they didn't even speak English. And I, out of courtesy, said, oh, "Okay." Never saw it before. I grow chickens and have grown chickens since the '60s. So I'm looking at those feet. I'm going, this is going to be gross, but these guys are eating it. I guess I can eat it.
How'd you like it?
It was forgettable.
Yeah, there's not, like, you gotta spice it up a lot, right? Like, I usually make it like an Asian kind of style.
Do you eat the feet or just the soup?
The feet.
You eat the feet?
Yeah. I eat everything. I eat eyeballs and brains and.
Have you ever tried lingua before, Raz?
Oh yeah, I get it from my Portuguese butcher.
Yeah, I was at a food truck one day and I used to order a machaca, which was just shredded up roast beef tacos, and they ran out or something, and so he said, well, we've got this lingua here, you want to try it? And I was like, okay. So I took a bite and I said, I don't know about that, but it was
really?
beef tongue. Yeah,
That's
I didn't
tongue,
like
right?
it. Yeah, it's tongue. I didn't like it too much. Yeah.
Was it tender?
It needed a little more tenderizing to it.
Okay.
Definitely.
They
It
didn't
kind of
cook it
reminded
long
me of,
enough.
yeah, it was more kind of like squid. You know, if you don't cook squid right, it probably doesn't come out very well.
Yeah, no longer than a minute in the pan.
Yeah.
So Rasmo, I was at this Mexican restaurant where they serve chicken feet, right? To me, it was a private item, right? and one time I said to the manager there, I said, they played Mexican music all over the restaurant, right? I mean, real Mexican music. And so I said, excuse me, sir, what are they singing about? And he stopped for a second and he listened to the words of the song for a second. And he said, it's a song about puppy love. I thought, oh my God, there's no difference.
We're all the same.
It's all the same. There's only 4 different subtitles.
Yeah. Puppy love.
There's like 2 basic songs, right? I want to get with her or she left me. That's it.
Yeah.
Donny Osmond. Didn't he have a song called Puppy Love?
Yeah.
I loved those songs when I was a kid. I would get the chicks going.
Calcium, copper, iron, magnesium. I need magnesium. Phosphorus, potassium, selenium. I probably need selenium. Zinc, sodium, riboflavin, and vitamin B12.
Fish is all fish.
Is
all
that
fish is very high in selenium.
What is
all
that,
fish?
AC? What is the meat that you're reading there?
Chicken feet.
Oh, okay.
Does the chicken feet have little bones in them, or is it just all?
Yeah. It's just really small amount of skin, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, and if you boil them a bit first, take away the collagen water.
And
now they're
wash them with a scrub brush.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
To make
the ones I get are very clean to begin with.
Yeah.
But once you've hit them in the water for about 10 minutes, they get spongy, and so I'll like put them in a really heavily spiced sauce, like hot sauce.
Yeah.
And it absorbs all of it, and it's like beer food. It's like eating popcorn
Oh yeah.
right? You just chew all the skin off the bones. It's really tiny bones.
Gut health and joint health. Cool. Wow, looks like Lisa has taken over the show. How dare she? Okay, in protest to Lisa taking over the show, I'm going to wind it up there, boys and girls. Teach her a lesson. She'll never forget. Thanks for coming in. It's been 2.5 hours, and man, we had a good time. I enjoyed your company. Bagwell, I'm really happy to meet you.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Now that you know how to click the right button.
Right, now that I can get on, yes. Wanted to get on a few times, though. You'll see me again.
Uh-huh.
Have a good night.
Perfect. Oh yeah, let me do the after show in case you guys want to come and hang out more. After show wink. Thank you, Lisa, for helping out with all of that information.
What time is it in Utah, Ace?
9:33.
Okay. It's 11:33 here.
Mm-hmm.
That's the correct time.
Alrighty.
Oh, you don't have to go anywhere, Bagwell.
Yeah.
I'm just going to close up the public side and we can continue talking.